Welcome to Get Your Pulls, number 76.1.
What's that? A .1?
Yes, it's because it's not really about comics. It's not our normal format. This is going to be a special, which we'll probably do every year, depending on how it goes. But it's our special Airing of Grievances episode.
Yes, it's a Festivus special holiday edition of the program.
It's about a week after Festivus, but it's maybe next year we'll do our year in review at the end of the year, and maybe just do one for Festivus. But we just thought about it. We got no new comics. We had one pull apiece, and that would be like a 10-minute show if we did that. So.
Yeah, we didn't even bother making the trip.
No, and then next week, got a lot going on with holidays, family coming in, crap like that. And then next week, once again, we only have like one pull, so might as well just go next week and get two instead of, a trip apiece. Though I love the brick and mortar store. I'll never switch to digital. I'll probably just, you can record this now, NSA. I'll probably just blow up the Marvel offices if one day they're just like, we're only doing digital comics. And I'll be like, well, I would rather there be no comics, so I'm taking you out. But it still is, it's still about a 25, 30-minute drive from the house, so it's hard to spend $5 on gas to go buy one comic for $3. So sometimes you gotta wait a week if you're just extremely under in the polls.
Yeah, so we hope everyone had a nice Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, whatever you got gifts for. I got some cool gifts and really had a nice Christmas. It was pretty fantastic around the Wilson household.
I got some comic-related stuff. What comic-related stuff did you get?
Oh, man. I got a nice Superman wallet, for one.
Nice.
I got a Green Lantern shirt. I got, on film, Kick-Ass 2 and the Wolverine, as well as The Hobbit and Star Trek Into Darkness, and Iron Man 3 is coming. Got two copies of Star Trek, so one of those is going back in for Iron Man 3 to round out the summer movie collection.
Nice.
And,
I got a ton of movies.
That was it. I got a couple video games, but none comic related.
Yeah, I think I got most of those same Blu-rays, but then a bunch more, because that's what I do. I buy way too many movies, but that's what I did. Man, I'm old enough now to where, you really don't even, if your parents didn't get you anything, like, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, if they got you, like, one shirt, like, that's probably all that they're on the hook for, really. But like, my mom always, though, it's been a recent tradition where she's just like, this is the amount of money I plan on spending on you. I'm just going to give it to you and let you go shop on Black Friday. So I bought a shit ton of movies and stuff, so I got a lot of cool stuff. Stuff to pass. I got Pacific Rim. It's one of the movies. I got it, which I'd already seen before and liked a lot. And then I also got World War Z, which is a movie. Those are two movies that critics seem like they did their best to kill before they came out, that didn't make a ton of movie here, but people overseas don't give a shit about critics, and both ended up being like top 10 movies for the year money-wise.
Really dug Pacific Rim. Yeah. I just watched it last night. I got it also.
It's awesome. It's standard. It's the real star of it, and it's hard to do this because, most movies, if they're just good in special effects, like, that's not good enough. But in Pacific Rim, this is the first time since, technology's been okay, we're going to have giant robots fight giant monsters, and that's the real star of the show. And it was awesome because it's something you haven't seen since technology got to where it's at.
And I loved the casting. Absolutely loved it.
I liked
Charlie Hunnam as, Jax Taylor from Sons of Anarchy as
he's
the
good.
Lead good guy, and then you had Ron Perlman as...
Ron Perlman's small role was awesome. He was awesome in the movie. Everybody, Idris Elba's good in it.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day just being Charlie.
Surprise performance.
Yeah, he's just being Charlie as a scientist. That's what I described to everyone. I was like, he's just acting like Charlie, just as if Charlie was a scientist. But yeah, I liked it. It's entertaining. It's a by the books, 100% predictable movie, but it was fun and it was awesome. And for people that bitch about all the superhero movies and about them kind of being all the same, and even movies that aren't superhero movies all being so similar, this was something that was still had the same feeling as one of those movies, but was way different. So it seemed like the type of movie that if you like big blockbuster movies would be kind of perfect.
Yeah, it had a little bit of attitude too, which those movies don't usually have.
Didn't do good here at all, but made a ton of money worldwide, so it's getting a sequel. So World War Z. Now with World War Z, it's not as good. There's a bunch of really cool stuff in it, but it definitely has some problems. It definitely has like the pacing of it's really weird. Like the very beginning is really exciting, and then the middle's really exciting, and then the last like 45 minutes of the movie is not nearly as exciting. So it's weird the way that they space stuff out. Which one of the big things I heard, like they spent a ton of money. They reshot the last like 25 minutes of the movie. Like they brought in one of the guys who worked on Star Trek that works at Abrams. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Maybe Alex Kurtzman, maybe him, but they brought in one of those guys and were like, "Hey, what would you do to fix this movie? Because the ending just is not playing well. Everybody hates it that we show it to." And he was like, "Well, honestly, the only thing I could tell you to do is like you need to reshoot the last third of the movie. We need a whole new third arc." And they did it, and it's decent, but it's I mean you can tell like it's not the greatest. But it was still a fun movie. The zombies were pretty cool, like what they did with the zombies in it. Brad Pitt's cool in it. They had some good stuff. Some of the characters, it's weird because some of the characters had much bigger roles, and then once they rewrote what they rewrote, it's just famous people that are barely in it, and you're like, what the fuck? They just dropped out of the movie and never came back, and it's because they wrote them out to write like the end of the movie. But I thought it was another movie that was like shit upon way more than it deserved, and it seemed like critics were just like did their best to make you not go watch the movie, but made enough money overseas to where it's also getting a sequel. So those are two movies that I'll air grievances on critics real quick. That'll be my first one. Like it is a weird thing these days where it's not just like people not liking movies. It's like it seems like just in general lots of times critics will agree like they it seems like they do their best to make sure you don't go see certain movies, which is weird. Like nobody gives like an equal like I hated it for all these reasons, but if you like Pacific Rim as an example, but if you just like, if seeing robots fight monsters that look awesome and, a little bit of humor is enough, you'll love this movie. They don't throw in that caveat anymore. They're just like, it's predictable, it sucks, don't waste your money on this. Nobody at all, like, in news reporting in general, but nobody ever, like, is balanced at all anymore. And critics are the worst now. Like it doesn't seem they probably do have financial reasons. They probably have certain movies that they probably do get paid to promote. Like that just seems like with everything you know about anything that's probably 100% true. That you know the reason Peter Travers likes every fucking movie with music in it is probably because the Rolling Stones like, hey, we need people to read the magazine. We're going to get interviews with these people that are in this movie about music because it's about music. So you have to say it's the movie of our generation because that's what he does. He's like Scott Pilgrim, the movie of this generation. But whatever. If it has a guitar in it, it's the movie of this generation. But that's a grievance. But I got more comic stuff. I'll tell you, I got actual comic things. So it's none of those movies are technically, but I got a Fear Agent Omnibus #1, half of Remender's Fear Agent collection. I got that.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm pumped for it. His first big space epic, and I've really loved Black Science so far, so I'm really excited. It's really nice looking too, so that rules. I got the Superman animated. I got the whole collection of that. Started getting into it because I finished all the Batman and Batman Beyond. Happy with Superman animated because it's still animated, still using the old classic animation style. Love Batman Beyond, but I do miss them animating it like old stuff. Like that stuff just looks better to me than the digital stuff. But
yeah, absolutely. The Superman animated's right along that. It wasn't as critically loved as Batman, but I thought for what they did with the Superman universe, it's pretty damn fantastic. I think pretty much everybody gets introduced all the way down to Crypto.
Yeah, I was reading, and it looked like they won some awards and stuff on it. I think in general, maybe it just didn't get like as popular, but I think like it did get critically like similar acclaim. But it's just, Batman came out on the heels of Batman Returns, so people had Batman fever, and Superman came out when fucking nobody was giving a shit about Superman.
Right.
So even if people thought it was awesome, it just wasn't. And it also didn't pop up on, Sunday night, like in prime time at first. So
the show's got a lot of continuity, too, much like Batman, maybe even more so than Batman, really, as far as, like,
well, in
Batman narrowly did 3-part arcs, and Superman did several of them.
Yeah, and you can also tell with Batman, too, that, like, they were really just playing the Batman universe. I mean, there were mentions of other things, but it was really, like, they probably had no idea that, like, at that point, like, it didn't occur to them like, hey, we can talk about anybody we want in the DC universe. And Superman, right off the bat, somebody's talking about, mentions about, how crazy Lois mentions, about how crazy Batman is in like the third episode, and they're mentioning other characters in the
Oh,
DC.
Green Lantern Kyle Rayner appears is the Green Lantern that appears in the
Yeah.
tie-in episode in that.
Yeah, I know just by reading the credits. I mean, I see Batman's going to show up. People are actually going to show up later, but I mean, right off the bat, you can tell. I don't know if maybe they didn't have the permission in the old ones, but you can tell they had complete permission to just go all out with, letting you know that this was part of like a big universe, where like in Batman, really wasn't the same.
They did a classic, which has been done in the comics several times over, as far as like the Golden Age, Silver Age, etc. But the Superman versus Flash race episode,
Yeah,
on that is fantastic.
yeah, that's cool. And then my brother bought me a Green Lantern ring.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
You do have great willpower, Aaron
Yes.
Grant of Earth.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. That was a random one he got for me. It's not comic book related, but it's still nerd culture related. He also got me a fucking. I don't have a record player, even though it's something that I talk about I'll eventually want to get, because most of the music I really like came out in that form first, so it sounds better in that form than anything else, so it would make sense. Really just fighting against getting a record player, because I don't want anybody to like accuse me of being like a hipster, because I'm not, but I would be getting one not because it was ironic, but because I want to listen to music on it. But I got a Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom soundtrack that was pretty awesome. It's on a vinyl. I got that for Christmas, so that's pretty cool.
Tremendous.
Yeah, I got some other stuff like that too. But yeah, so that's cool. That's our Christmas presents and whatnot.
So now that all the good vibes are out of the way,
Yeah, it's time for nothing but negativity until we deem it done. Time to air some grievances.
bum bum bum. 2013 Airing of Grievances Getchyapulls 76.1.
Yeah. There are a few things that bothered me this year. As you can hear, if you've been listening to Getchyapulls every week, sometimes we air some grievances, sometimes we don't.
You do often air the grievances.
We have some reoccurring themes.
How many of these grievances have we previously aired, I wonder?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to go back. I mean, I've never listened to one of our episodes, so I'm not going to go back and listen to count. But probably some of them. I mean, my general grievances is just the pussy-fied version of people that have come. That's generally the problems I have with people. It's just the PC world that everyone's attempting to make, where, you need to, like, we're going to get to a point to where you're going to have, like, a chip in your brain that's going to do, like, a rundown of, like, right before you talk, like, you're going to think what you're going to say, and it's going to be like, 3 people out of 2.5 billion on Earth might find this offensive, and you're going to be like, it's worth it, I can say it. But then if it's going to be like 100 people out of 100 billion people might find it offensive, you're going to be like, that could get me fired. That's 100 out of the whole world might find this offensive, maybe. I can't say it. So that's the general grievances. Some of these are serious. Some of these are just whatever. But start out old actors. This got me thinking this week. Went and saw Wolf of Wall Street. Thought it was awesome. Some old people walked out of it. It was great. I mean, I say old people. I'm 30 now, but some people that appeared to be in like their 60s got up. I've literally, unless I've missed it, I've never seen anybody walk out of a movie, and you could tell by the noise they were making, they were walking out because they were just bummed out because the movie was just so offensive. If you haven't seen it yet, I mean, it's a Scorsese movie, but there are naked women in it. Part of one of their gimmicks that this guy was famous for is like they had like they go on like a plane trip where the amount of like all their like people that are like the big wigs in their company, they hire 2 hookers for like every guy on the plane, so they're on a private jet with like 40 hookers going to Vegas across the country. He does blow out of like a hooker's asshole. There's just cussing and sex and violence and stuff, and lots of drug use in the movie. They're constantly fucked up on drugs, and it was a day after Christmas, so that's, a lot of times people take their family to go see a nice little film. A lot of people seeing Frozen and The Hobbit. Some people decided to check out The Wolf of Wall Street on a whim. Shouldn't have done it. But, yeah, after the movie, there were some people sitting behind me that also were a little bit older, and this woman, as soon as the credits roll, just looks over and goes, I just want to apologize to you guys. I did not do the proper research on what this movie was going to be about. I thought it was awesome, but my grievance with the movie, is that DiCaprio, to start the movie, is playing a guy that's like 25. And that's not happening. That's over. He's too old.
It's over for you, bro.
Him, Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon. If I was going to make a list of guys who have finally hit the age in 2013 that you can't play people in their 20s anymore, that's the list. I recently saw a movie with Wahlberg where they do flashbacks where he's just playing himself like in his 20s. He's too old. You look 40, man. You want to play somebody 35? You go right ahead. You can't play somebody in their 20s. It's just done.
Fair enough.
Yes, that's my grievance. So you can't play more than 10 years your age. Say that should be like a rule. You know, unless you're just like crazy. Well, because I mean I know Pacino was playing guys in his 30s when he was 50, but some people just get that lucky.
Right.
You know, unless this isn't racist. So I want to go ahead and clarify that I'm not trying to be racist when I say this, in case anyone wants to interpret it as being racist. Also a grievance I have. It's people interpreting what you say even after you clarify it. Be like, well, I know you told me this. It's like, just call me a liar. If you don't believe what I mean by this, then you're calling me a liar. But unless you're like, I mean, really, this rule really only goes for white people, because it seems like just naturally, if you have any sort of tan to your skin, whether it being you're black or Hispanic, whatever, some of those people can get away with playing people much younger. You've noticed in movies. Denzel could play a guy in his 20s for a really long time. Not anymore.
Yeah, oh yeah. The white man ages
The white man ages the worst. It's a compliment. Before anybody gets a hizzy over it. It's a compliment, but this only goes for white actors. Other people, there's different rules. I don't have those rules in front of me. But for white people, don't go that way.
Alright.
There's a grievance.
That's grievance number one.
Yeah, you want a comic book grievance? Here's one. Bad jokes. Terrible jokes. Making obvious jokes. I have a grievance with that.
Well, I guess this is the last podcast.
Most obvious joke. Here's what I have a grievance with. If your reaction to Ben Affleck being cast as Batman was to tweet out a joke about Matt Damon playing Robin, you should be retired from making jokes. It's the last joke you ever get to make. You're not funny.
Yeah, can I be offended by that as a comic book fan, and all these other people? Like, I'm very, you know me. You know I love the comic book movies, and I'm, like, very excited that that's become a thing. But yeah. I do have to say that shit gets a little annoying when the mainstream, like, everybody thinks they know something about comics now, and as a result, you get smarmy fucking comments like that. Like, Matt Damon's gonna be Robin, and Jay and Silent Bob are gonna be the Joker and the Penguin, ha ha ha. It's like...
Yeah, that's just a terrible joke.
You're so wrong on so many levels, and yet if
it's just also
I
you're not funny.
corrected you, I would be an asshole.
Yeah, it's just also, you're just not funny. That's just not a good joke.
No, well, that's beside the point.
Yeah. There's 2 points. That's part of my point.
That's beside my point.
It's part of my point.
It's your point.
Yeah, it's like, if you made that joke to me, I would be like, we're not friends. Like, you thought I would laugh at that, we're not friends. But yeah, secondly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, just people in general. People, when it comes to anything, but especially when it comes to movie castings in general, a bunch of people are going to be mad no matter what.
This is a recent trend to me, too, it seems. I guess
Yeah.
It really isn't. If you go back to people even bitching when Michael Keaton was cast as Batman, but there just wasn't an internet then. But,
people hated Heath Ledger. People were so mad about that, and guess what? In everyone's eye,
there's such a...
He got a fucking Academy Award for playing a fucking funny book character, you pricks. So, wait till you see something before you get mad. I mean, it's with everything, though. Like, I remember, like, I could care less about this. They're making a movie about 50 Shades of Grey, which from any time anyone's explained it to me is just a porn book for women. It's like a Fabio novel, but
yeah, I was about to say, isn't it like a Harlequin romance?
But it's like
novel?
But it's like dressed up as like not being that, so people feel okay with like reading it. And it was a big hit and made a bunch of money, which is fine. You can read
middle-aged church-going housewives. It's okay for them as long as it's all Good Morning America, right?
Exactly, as long as it's presented to them as long as it's presented to you as art. If if I watch a porno online, like I'm disgusting, but if you read a fucking book, it's obviously a porn, but it's on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's art. That's okay. But nonetheless, like I could care nothing at all about that. But then they were gonna cast Charlie Hunnam in the lead role, which I also found this crazy. So many people were upset saying he couldn't play it because he didn't look like what the character looked like. And, which, like I said, I don't give a shit about that movie. I was happy when he dropped out because I was like, thank God, man, because that dude's awesome. And I'm glad he's not going to be associated with something that sounds like such a piece of shit to me. Which he immediately was like, oh, this is going to be like a big deal to people. He's like, well, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to get like that famous. Like, that's the. And also, he read it. He also read. Funny enough, he finally read the book and was like, "Yeah, I actually don't want to be in this movie. So, you guys can have your thing." But people just getting so upset about that, and they get upset about everything. I mean, no matter what the casting is, people shit upon it. It also brings up another crazy point too. Like, there wasn't this outrage about people were like, "He's not hot enough to play this." Well, that didn't get like a lot of like attention. People weren't like the bastards that say that Charlie Hunnam's not hot enough to play this character, this thing. But by God, when people said that Shailene Woodley wasn't hot enough to be Mary Jane, those people were pieces of shit. How dare you ever say that because you don't look like, basically the same thing, because, and it's even worse, Charlie Hunnam doesn't look like what we imagined the character to look like. He's not pretty enough. That's fine. But someone's cast as a character that we don't have to imagine, who doesn't look as hot as what a character's been drawn as for 60 years, but then it makes you a dick for being like, Mary Jane's a supermodel. Like, I don't think she looks like a supermodel. You misogynist piece of shit! Well, Charlie Hunnam, he's not hot enough to be Christian Grey. Oh, that's cool. Those are the reactions.
A lot of hate on the Wonder Woman casting as well.
And who knows, man?
Like, all that's up in the air. Like, you don't know. Like, hate on the casting all you want. I'm sure these people went through screen tests. I'm sure Warner Brothers wasn't going to invest $1 billion in a movie for them to just be like, okay, well, I guess like, this chick from fucking Fast and the Furious is
it's been confirmed that, Ben Affleck tried on a Batman suit, and, like, they were like, yeah, that looks right. Yeah, I'm sure they just weren't on a list. It's not like it's not like they went on, like, Match.com, like a website like that, and went, that's Wonder Woman, call her, she's Wonder Woman. I'm sure she read some lines and they're like, this is what we're looking for. And she's already said she's going to bulk up. She's like, yeah, I'm obviously, that's what actors do. Like, I'm going on a weightlifting regimen. I'll look more like what, someone who can kick someone's ass looks like.
Yeah, but that's a grievance to air. It's like the fucking obsession of bitching about unfinished products. And that's one thing that I really hate about the internet is, like, it's great that you have access to all this information, but is it really necessary to release set details of every movie and 15,000 production stills and shit before the movie even comes out? It's just you're getting a preconceived notion. You're not going into the movie completely unbiased or unsullied. You might have saw a picture that you thought, man, that guy looked kind of stupid, or what? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just this obsession with oversharing.
Yeah, it's just the reporting.
Everything.
And it's just never going to go away now because, too many people make a living off, like, trying to, like, basically ruin movies for you. Like, people take pride in, like, I finally got the scoop. Like, I can tell you how this movie ends. And, like, they take that as, like, a badge of honor. And people are like, haha, you did it. When it's like, dude, like, fuck you. Like, let people enjoy it. But there's so many times that would happen. Like, Jaws was way over budget, but it was just in, like, back in the day, whatever they had, the Hollywood Reporter, the only people that really were really big in movies, like, knew that Spielberg is way over budget and everybody's afraid the movie's going to flop. If it was now, that might get killed before anybody even went and saw it. People might be like, oh, well, I've heard this is shitty, like, I'm not even going to give it a chance. Or, like, Back to the Future, one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, they actually filmed a decent amount of movie with Eric Stoltz playing Marty McFly, decided it just wasn't working, recast the role. If that happened now on some big budget thing, like, could you imagine if they cast this movie, if they filmed Batman vs. Superman for 2 weeks and then we're like, we've recast Batman, people would be like, this is a piece of shit, like, it can never be worth watching. And, like, those are like Jaws, Back to the Future, like, those are like, Jaws at the time it came out was the biggest money-making movie of all time. Back to the Future, like I said, is one of my like 10 favorite movies ever. Like these are beloved blockbusters that now would just people would be killing before they even came out just because of things. So yeah, I agree with that. I also have the grievance of also to like decide like what's okay to bitch about. Like you can bitch that Ben Affleck's Superman, but you can't bitch that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. Like you're an asshole for saying like maybe she isn't right for one, which I fucking don't know. Like I said, I've seen her Fast and Furious. She's never been in anything that I've seen that I can judge one way or another, like how she'll be as Wonder Woman.
I'm just sick of people bitching about the casting altogether. Like either way, I mean, it's whatever. But fucking like you don't know, you haven't seen it. Once you see something, then bitch. But you don't have anything to bitch about so far because you don't know.
Yeah, everybody said there's no way that Deadpool wouldn't be awesome, or that Green Lantern wouldn't be awesome with Ryan Reynolds in both those roles. Both those movies fucking flopped their asses off, and everybody was like perfect casting on both. So nobody ever knows. You don't know until the fucking movie comes out. On to the next grievance, some comic grievances.
Got a few of those, yeah. Got a few.
Crossovers.
Fucking fuck crossovers.
Fuck crossovers. And more likely, if you're gonna do a crossover, do it cool. Do it the way that like Forever Evil's doing it, where you literally could just read Forever Evil and be fine.
Or you could read one title in addition, and be fine.
Like my Justice League, it's been in Justice League of America. They've both been fine. They've still told their own stories, like the Justice League, like we have Forever Evil. In regular Justice League, we're just going to tell the story of the crime syndicate and what, and like what their deal is with each other. And if you weren't reading, I mean, I would say you probably, if anything, would make you read Forever Evil if you weren't reading it already because you'd want to see like what everything was about. But it doesn't feel like your book has been like torn away, like it still has like a purpose.
No, not just that. And my biggest gripe with it, my biggest gripe, Muji, is the multi-titled issue to the next issue in a different book crossover.
Yeah, like Battle of the Atom, fuck the way they did it.
Who the fucking... What kind of relic from the goddamn Silver Age is that's still around to try to fucking sucker... Okay, you have this super loyal customer base. That's the people like us who actually get out of their house to go to the store every single week and buy their comics. To get them hot off the presses, single issues in the most fucking flimsy, hard to fucking keep in pristine shape material that they package these things in, charge exuberant prices for the single issue books.
Yeah.
All it does is punish the most loyal of their fan base, and it fucking boggles my mind. Because that's all it does. They think it's a sly sales tactic, and all it is a big fuck you to the people that support the goddamn industry.
And also, it doesn't work. Like, I'm not, like I said, I like Battle of the Atom, the event, but I had to go buy, like, a regular X-Men title, a book that I don't read. It didn't cross my mind for 1 second, like, oh, I'm going to start buying this book now because I have this one single issue of it.
No, especially because it was just a continuation of the story.
Yeah, it just made me mad.
Reading,
yes.
So it didn't introduce you to anything of the flavor of that book because it was just continuing the story you were already reading.
Yes. It's just a slimy sales technique in my opinion. It's the same thing as like, for example, like I work for a phone company and 1 month they decided that they were going to charge for your paper bill when it was obvious they knew that after people complained that they were going to like take the charge away, but they knew for that month, whoever didn't complain, like on our spreadsheet, it's going to show that we made this much more money. So to like our investors and stuff, it's going to be like we were more profitable when like you didn't do anything to like, if anything, you hurt your customer base. That's what comics do when they do those type of things. Yeah, for that month, you go, oh, look, it worked. Like issue number 9 of X-Men sold way better than issue number 8 because it was part of the story. But you just made people mad, and issue number 10 is not going to sell any better because it's not part of the crossover. So you're just lying to yourself.
It is definitely negatively affecting their sales from my own wallet because I goddamn guarantee you the next time Green Lantern flops over a fucking crossover, I'm dropping the book. And the X-Men, as much as it's like Uncanny X-Men will always get bought because it's that book that I bought as a child. You know, it's like the one that I collect. But I would drop pretty much any other X-Men book for over
Yeah, if they
there.
announce right now they're going to have a 16-part tie-in where there's going to be 2 in each one, it's like, I'm not doing that again. Like, if you want to do a 16-part X-Men event that are separate from my monthly book, and then I have the option of also adding that and spending more money, that's fine. If I like what it's going to be about, I'll do it. But just saying, like, well, you can either buy into the event or 2 of the books off your regular pull list aren't going to mean anything to you because you're not willing to fork over another fucking $50 for the rest of this event. I mean, that's just shitting on
And
people.
they try to get you because if you don't get it, then you don't have a full run.
And you have 2 useless issues. It's like I've got Wolverine the X-Men 1 through 35, 36 and 37 are part of this big event that fucking make no sense to me because I'm not reading the rest of the event. I just could either waste $8 on something that means nothing, or I can go and spend the other 40 to get the other 10 issues that's in there. I mean, it really is. It's like punishing people that buy your regular books.
It's so
The
fucking
people,
stupid.
which are your
It's
most,
so
which are your
colossally
most
stupid.
important people. I mean, that's the people that keep comics in business. That's the reason printed comics for the past 2 years that's the only version of print that's made more money, that's increasing, have been comics. And you know why every other print medium, especially magazines, are getting just fucked and books are selling way less. You know, you're getting more money off this. But yeah, that sucks. So fuck crossovers. Fuck random $7.99 comics, man. It better be great. Like there was an issue of Zero Year from Snyder that was $7.99 that I was perfectly happy with because it was fucking almost 50 pages.
It was almost a mini graphic
Yes,
novel.
it was
like
super
collected
thick.
edition, you
It
know?
was a great story. I was totally happy with it. But then there was a random issue of Detective Comics from last year that I didn't see coming that was $7.99. That was like, obviously it was a story that was like 40 pages. It could have been 20 where they're like, we're just gonna get somebody this month, and it fucking was not even a good comic to begin with, and you hit me for $8. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing. I defend DC to everyone because I think all corporations are kind of pricks. So DC and Marvel are both on the same level of me. That yeah, if either one of them can get an extra nickel from you, no matter what the circumstances are, they're gonna do what they can to get that extra nickel, because that's the way businesses are, which sucks. I also argue with the fact that like it's okay. Like I remember people defending the fact that like fucking Target's open at 5 o'clock. Like fuck the people that work there. They gotta make all the money they can. Well, how about you don't actually have to be that way? You can like put having some sort of like morals and like decency above like making every dollar you can. But anyways, for the comics, for the grievance, fucking the same thing happened with like other books, man. There were books that like DC like made this big announcement when they started their thing, the New 52, that they were going to charge $2.99 for most of their books, and $3.99 books you were going to get extra pages.
Oh,
You're gonna
fucking
you're
card stock.
you're gonna get 32 pages. So instead, they try to throw in there like, well, we gave you this card stock. It's this nice cover, but this month you only got 20 pages in this book, and you paid $4. Like, what the fuck, man? Without even like an announcement. Yeah, if you go and look at the previews months in advance, which barely anybody does that, you're not going to catch the fact that you're booked that month. Especially, lots of people don't even look at that. They just have their pull list. You walk in, you get your stack of books, then you get home and they're like, wait a minute, for some reason,
You look at the bill and you're like, what the fuck?
I lost 12 pages and it's the same price.
Yeah.
Or
and,
even
and
like,
it's like, I'll give the advantage to them on that. Like, it is useful in that it makes the comic less easy to fuck up.
dude, the card stock looks nicer. I'm not going to argue that, but if I'm going to pay $4 for a comic, it better not be 20 pages. Like, that's even less. Like, I mean, then you're looking at ridiculous. You're looking at, like, I bought, like, you know, the sequel to The Shining, Stephen King's new book. You know, paid fucking $14 for fucking 600 pages of book. And I'm still, even though there's pictures and stuff, I'm still okay with that $14 is going to get me fucking, you know, 4 comics. But it better still get me at least fucking 4, like, 30-page comics. And you're asking me, I can't pay you $4. I mean, that's a buck for 5 pages. 5 pages of comics is not worth $1. Like, that's It's just also how they slide it. They're not like, there's no announcement that's like, hey, some of these comics this month we're putting this card stock on. Maybe we got behind. We didn't have backup stories. We're taking a couple months off backup stories. Nothing about it. You just get down there and you're like, oh shit, all my comics this month that are normally 30 pages are 20, and they're still $4. Like, and that's the type of thing that for me, I'm just like, I mean, that's a dick move, but I still want the comic. But that is literally the type of thing that someone might be like, yeah, that's the last straw. I'm just not buying these comics anymore. Like, yeah, I've been fucked for the last time.
Yeah, they've really got me pissed on the crossovers, and I'm really watching all of my titles for that because I'm with you. I mean, I work too hard for the $4 I spend on each comic to go towards an issue that I won't ever read. That's fucking ridiculous.
Like, Daredevil better have more. It better be bigger. I've been buying Daredevil Mark Waid, which I've loved. I think it's great. They're relaunching. They tried to sell me on like the fact that it's a perfect point to relaunch, and we're sending him out to the West Coast, so it makes sense to have a new volume. What makes sense is that they're titling number one, and now it's $4 instead of $3. So it better not be the same amount of pages for fucking an extra dollar. Like, that's obvious. And come out and say it too. So like, Daredevil's been a popular title. Like, we feel like, it's being the best, like, being one of our best books, like, it's worth $4. Like, why can't you say that? Because then I would say, okay, it's fine. Yeah, I do like it enough to where I'm willing to pay $4. Not, well, it's a natural place to blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, we're charging another $1.
Do. I'm in like one of the places that I work, wrestling wise, is like they charge a pretty low ticket price, and I've tried to convince them a couple times, like, you really need to bump that shit up a little bit. And they're like, well, the fans might get mad. And
as long as you're honest and say, hey,
no, exactly.
Yeah, you say we're providing the best wrestling around. If you want these better wrestlers to come in, we have to pay them more. So for us to afford to bring you the guys you want to see, we're gonna have to charge an extra $1. And if that's worth it to you, we're happy. If it's not, we hate to see you go. But, we promise you, if you want to see, like, these great wrestlers, the extra $1 will be worth it to you.
And that's the thing, like, cheap sales tactics and crap, that never works in the long run.
You don't wait for people to get to the door, and then that would be the equivalent of wrestling, be like, we're going to jack the tickets up $2 a piece. We're not going to tell anybody, but when they get here, they're already going to be here, so they'll pay the $2. They probably will. They drove all the way there. They'll probably pay the $2. They probably won't come back the next week.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Only the people that really love it. And those people you're taking advantage of to begin with, if you just know you can fuck them. That's like, the same thing.
Be honest with your fan base, deliver a quality product, and everything really should fall into place. Yeah.
My next comic grievance. If a comic book came out 4 months ago, and I can find it at cover price on every single website that sells comics, and they still have a stack of 5 of them at my comic book store, bitch, it didn't sell out. So don't send a press release about it selling out.
I guess that means, what does that mean? They sold all of the ones they had?
Well, here's the thing.
Retailers?
It's a trick. So they'll run these promotions. Image does it a lot, which is fine. And other places do it a lot. Even Marvel, if they say, you'll see Marvel comics sold. You'll see Marvel announce a book sold out. It'll go back to second printing when there's still, like, it's from a year ago, and there's still 10 of them at your comic book store. So they'll do these deals where, as an example, like for an Image number 1, one they think is going to sell really well, they'll say, if you order so many of these, then, they're returnable. So if we're making this issue returnable, and also if you order up to 30, we'll give you like this variant cover of the comic, whatever. But don't worry, you can send those back, like if they're, if you don't sell them. So everybody will be like, okay, well, I'm going to order at least the amount I need to get this variant. They sell out from the distribution level at Diamond. They've sold them all out, but they've sold, like, a comic book store bought 30 of them, even though only 5 people asked for it, another 5 bought off the shelves. They have 20 sitting on the shelf because they wanted to get up to, like, that level, they did. Or a bunch of other people do it too. You'll get things where, like, because I guess essentially you can make your money, so it's worth it. But, like, say Marvel will say, like, okay, like, for Captain Marvel, this isn't an exact one, but this would be an example. They'll say Captain Marvel number 1. We really want to push this comic. We want people to read it. So if you order 80% of your order from, Battle of the Atom number 1. So say you were like, we're going to sell a shit ton of these. I can sell 50 of these. Everyone will want one. Well, then if you go and order 40 of Captain Marvel #1 will give you, you know, a 1-in-1 variant cover that, you know, the most of these are going to come out as each shop will get one. So there's not going to be more than 300 of them. So the people that are huge collectors that can't help but get every variant cover, you know, like, which is a thing that actually drove comics into the shitter in the 90s. You know, I mean, you see those variants that you see on eBay where somebody pays $300 for it because it's a 1 out of 300.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you order those 80 comics, even though you're like, I fucking 10 people asked for this, but I'm going to order 80 of them because I can get something I can sell for 300, so that's going to offset the cost of these comics. Even if I'm going to have 40 of them sitting on the shelf forever, I'll still end up getting my money. And then they can run out the press release that we sold out of these comics, even though 60% of the comics that they actually, you know, sold are doing that. Which a lot of them are returnable, which I think I've heard DC and Marvel are phasing out. I don't think they're about to stop doing returnable comics. Because I think it's biting them in the ass in some of them. Because, I mean, I did see, like, I mean, this is an example, which Sex Criminals, amazing book, one of my favorite new books, but I did see they announced it sold out, and the next month Diamond did, like, you know, they changed, like, what they said were it sold, like, 40,000, which they announced as a sellout and whatever, and it's one of those books, I mean, it's great, but it is one of those books that you look and you can find the #1 for $350 on every website that there is, because nobody actually sold their physical copies, and the next month they went back and changed the amount of sold, like 34,000, so they had some 6,000 of them got sent back to Diamond. So, you know, and then they do like a really small second printing, and then the people who want to have every single one are like, gotta buy the second print, and they're like, well, we sold those, we'll do an even more limited third printing and even more limited fourth printing. So sometimes you'll see these books that are like, we did 5 printings of the book, and it's because of the people, it's basically taking advantage of the collectors who have to have every one of them, and then you go back and look, and you're like, oh, you did 5 printings, but #1 is on Midtown for a reduced rate because they still have a billion of them, you know. So yeah, be honest. And also, the small companies do it even like an opposite thing, which will get you. Like, I've seen like Dynamite will print like 6,000 of a book and sell out of it and be like, sold out. It's like, you fucking printed 6,000 of them. Of course it is. Like, you didn't even, like, you barely fulfilled the order. Like, I've read that too. Like, some of the smaller presses will be like, you know, like, we didn't print enough of them. So it's just so you can say the book sold out. Like, that's going to make people be like, oh, it's sold out, like, I better buy it now. But it's really hard. Like, the only way that you know that something's sold out is that if you can't find it and you got to pay double the price on eBay, then it really sold out. If you can still get it for cover price, it's not sold out, because that's the meaning of that. Anyways,
yeah.
Grievance
I
down.
don't have anything to add to that, but I agree.
Grievance down. Here's a grievance. People that don't read comics talking about comic sucking. I mean, I guess they do that with, there's people like that with everything. But I constantly, and I mean, this is one of the #1 rules of the internet, is don't pay attention to the comment section on anything. But if you go into like a website and you see like the review of like a book and people are arguing back and forth, there's always people that jump in. It's like, I haven't been reading comics since the 2000s, but from what I can tell, you know, Batman sucks. And it's like,
then your opinion doesn't count.
Like, why do you care? Why do you even care? Like, what would make you come into the comment section of like something and talk about something that you have no idea about it? Just like, I mean, seriously, like, I do imagine like either it's a troll or it's somebody that's just so sad that's just like sitting at home fucking
those are real people,
eating fucking chips fucking on their computer that are just like, oh, man, what else, man? Man, I used to read comics. Let's see what people are saying about comics, and they read every comment. And they're like, people care about my 2 cents, even though I haven't read them in 10 years. Yeah, man, even from what I can tell, reading these comment sections, I mean, I don't read them, but I agree. I think it sucks. Like,
I played Little League Baseball once. I haven't watched baseball since I was probably 12 years old. But I
agree. I agree. Derek Jeter sucks.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, people kill me on that. Because it happens like with every comic. There's always without a shadow of a doubt when you read like the review for a comic book. Which I read the reviews basically lots of times. Lots of times, it's helped. Like, I went on, which they've kind of changed who's on a couple of the sites I was on, and some of the people that like I kind of got to trust their opinions are no longer reviewing things, so it's not as same as it was. And now that I'm reading for myself, I can kind of see what I like. But when we first, like, you know, it's been almost 2 years now since we started getting weekly pulls, and that's when I really got into comics. I fucking had no idea other than your recommendations, like what's out there, and you didn't read like a lot of indie stuff either. So it was
No, I didn't read any. Like, I mean, I kept up with what was current.
like the big dogs. You have Why the Last Man. You
Sure,
introduced me to that stuff like that. But then there's other things like, I got super nerdy about it quick about like the non-Marvel DC stuff, and you needed to find some people's opinions you could kind of trust so that if you want to get a new edition of a book and are afraid it's not going to be sold out, you kind of have something to go on. So when I was forming my own opinion of what comics I liked, there were certain people that I would see like what they thought. And that's why I would read the reviews. I would read the reviews, the next day on the website to see what it got if I was kind of on the fence and then get it. Now, like, you just kind of have the idea. It's like, well, a certain person wrote it. It's about this. Like, here's a pretty good idea if you don't like it or not. Also, the great thing, too, that at first I was also, because, I'm a real completist. And so I was like, I don't want to get a number one of a comic and then fucking drop it. And then I just have this book. And now it's like, yeah, you should just do that. Like, if you get a book and it sucks, just don't buy any more of it. It's really easy. Oh, no, yeah, I've got the first 3 issues. I better get the next 3 to finish the arc. Like, no, don't spend the fucking $10. If it sucks, then it sucks. But, so I did read a lot of reviews of stuff just to see, like, what people were saying so I could try to build my pull list so that I could get my dollars sucked away. And there's always motherfuckers that are commenting on comics that preface everything they say was like, I don't read comics anymore. People come in here or people bitch about like announcements like I don't fucking read any of the new 52 and it's because of things like this. Like I haven't even given it a try. So then why do you care? Like why they changed the writer on a book that you've never read?
I have no frame of reference for this discussion, but
I do have an opinion.
Like it once upon a time.
Yes. I have no frame of reference, but I have an opinion because I'm alive and I have opinions on everything.
God damn it, I'm an American and I have the internet.
More grievance is I should write better because I got a couple of grievances written down that I fucking can't tell what I wrote. So they're no longer grievances.
Grievance, better penmanship.
Yes. I think that's it. Overall grievance for the year is just everybody be cooler.
Yeah,
don't take things so serious. Like, don't take things out of context. When people tell you, like, this is what I mean, like, don't call them a liar. Just, like, drop things. Like, when I was, like, a child, it was a simple thing. If you said something that offended someone and told them, I'm sorry, like, I didn't mean to offend you, that's not how I meant it, they would say, I took it that way, but since that's not what you meant, that's fine, we can be friends again. Let things be over. Don't try to nitpick and, like, make things personal to you when people will tell you, like, what they mean.
Yeah, man, just be excellent to one another, because this, this is all a fucking hell of a slog for most of us. Most of us don't get to do everything we want to do. We do lots of things we have to do, and so, we indulge in these type of things mainly for entertainment. So just fucking be cool to each other and stop being such dicks. I know that's awful hippie of me to say, but fuck it, I don't care.
And don't try to read too far into, like, everything. Like, when you read a comic, don't try to find the fucking anything. If you try to read a comic or read somebody, like, an interview, read what comments people make, don't try to find the fucking hidden agenda in every single thing. Maybe the comic book you're reading they wrote with the intention of just trying to make it to where you had a good time, and they don't have some hidden agenda against something that you like. Give people the benefit of the doubts. Innocent until proven guilty.
That's the way it's supposed to be, not the way it is, I don't think.
No. Anywho, this will definitely be the last one of these pods for the year. So, hope everybody likes the stuff. We should have a website coming out very soon. I got some stuff rolling, got some plans. Maybe relaunching with a new volume soon. Have the stuff available on iTunes, so for easy downloads, and then we'll continue the YouTube page if you want to look at a graphic while you listen to us.
Yeah, may have a new show coming to the Potty Humor Network. I believe the first episode was supposed to be recorded tonight of the new
it's possible,
action movie show. I believe it's still untitled officially, but but
if it's titled anything than what I said it should be titled, then it's not a good title. So there's a possible future grievance.
Already a possible grievance, but
yeah.
Couple of entertaining friends of ours who are quite surly individuals at times, so it should make for quite an interesting podcast. They're gonna
Yeah.
And if you think me and Muji are fucking smarmy pricks, you
Yeah.
haven't met these guys at all.
One of these friends, they're doing a podcast about action movies because they like action movies. Like, I didn't know he liked anything, so just hearing, hearing that was a real shock to me that there's something you like. So, yeah, that podcast, if it comes to fruition, should be good. I've already booked a guest role in one of the early ones on there to talk about one of my all-time favorite movies. So if it does happen, then it'll be cool. If it doesn't happen, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll forget about it.
It is what it is.
But yeah, so yeah, now that if you're like us and you got 2 pulls built up instead of 1, go to the store and get it.